Night Watchman.
We are here. It's Monday night. I think this is the Soul Lounge Primetime show.
It sure enough is. You know, getting a little mellow there. I traveled across the pond, if you don't mind.
I expected it. I brought my passport too.
You did? Okay. We're going to have a good show.
Absolutely.
I'm saying we got a guy named Ivo on the
That's right.
show.
And not to be confused with any other Ivos you know. This is the one.
Explanations make no sense when every answer's wrong. You're fighting with lost confidence, all expectations gone. The time has come to make or break. Move on, don't hesitate. Break out, break out. Don't stop to ask. Now you found a break to make it last. You got to find a way, say what you want to say. Break out, break out. Situations never change. Tomorrow looks unsure.
So, gentlemen, I wanted to just kick it off. A little Swing Out Sister with Breakout. And, of course, you know, traveling across the pond, you bought your passport, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I
Are we
wanna
going to
go-
get some bangers and mash after this?
We just might do that. But you know what? Hey, why can't we go across the pond to...
We should probably explain what that means to people who aren't English.
Okay, so
It's-
what does
it's-
it mean?
It's non-sexual, first of all. I think it's sausage and mashed potatoes. I'm not actually sure. I've never actually had bangers and mash. I just threw that in there to sound culturally relevant.
You know, as a former British colony, I know your peeps. I know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Somewhere in the heritage, they had a picture of the Queen, probably.
No,
But not
doubt.
now.
Not now.
Not now.
Well, you know what, Night Watchman. Without further delay, let's bring out Ivo Philbert.
The
Give
one
it
and
up. Come
only.
on, man.
Yes. How are
Ivo,
you?
how you doing, man?
Welcome
I'm
to Soul Lounge.
amazing this afternoon. Thank you guys for having me on your show.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, you know, talk about just a happenstance. So we were chilling at a Harlem eatery, just chilling.
Yes, we were.
Next thing you know, we run into who?
A dapper gentleman.
Yes, very, very dapper, no doubt.
Goes by the name of.
Ivo.
That's right.
And how did you distinguish him from the other Ivos I hear are frequent St. John?
Mm-hmm.
That's you.
How did I distinguish him?
You call him Black Ivo. That's what you said.
I'll tell the truth. This is my first Ivo experience, so I didn't have any other distinction.
And it will be an experience.
I just when you first said Ivo, I thought you said 5-0, and I thought,
5-0.
You know, God. But Ivo, no, welcome, my brother, please.
Thank you guys. I'm honored to be here. Just happy to be here to share with the community all the great things that are going on, and you know, I'm just happy to be here.
And Ivo, tell me a little bit about yourself. St. John, I hear.
That's right. I'm from St. John, U.S. Virgin Islands, VI Massive, representing, and grew up in St. John, public school kid. You know, grew up in a community where people took care of your kids, where people disciplined your kids, where people gave your kids direction. So I am very, very thankful for my St. John, Virgin Islands upbringing. Still have my mother there, still have a lot of family and friends there, and that is home, right? Harlem is my second home. But
How long you been in Harlem now?
8 years.
Okay, got you.
Feels like 30.
Now, back up for a second. Is it you that someone told me that you had your family had a restaurant or some hospitality type activity on St. John?
Yes, my uncle has a restaurant, Miss Lucy's, on St. John, one of the best restaurants on the eastern end of the island.
That's what
so
I
if
hear.
we went to Miss Lucy's right now, what would be the things that you would recommend we would order from the menu?
Oh, absolutely. Get some saltfish. And that's saltfish. Saltfish.
Saltfish.
Exactly. There we
Yes.
go.
All
Some
right,
Johnny-
now finally I'm hearing the accent because I didn't hear the accent before, but I knew he was keeping it in weight. When the wheels touch ground in St. John, I'm sure
Oh,
there's a
it
slight
turns.
shift
It turns.
shift in the conversation.
Are you back home then?
Yeah.
So some saltfish from Johnny Cake,
Okay.
Get you a nice bushwhacker drink. I mean, we have a lot of great things.
So what's the Johnny cake?
It's fried dough.
Okay.
So similar to what Jamaicans have as festival, if you will, similar to many other countries have this fried dough thing, but
Right.
ours is really more of a bread that's fried that's absolutely delicious, deliciously amazing.
Deliciously amazing. All right.
And how do you cool off? What are you drinking?
Well, yeah,
Oh,
what was that
I was
bushwhacker?
about to go to the beach, jump in the water. I mean,
But you said something about a bushwhacker drink. What's that?
there's alcohol in it.
Yeah, and we know that. I think that went without saying.
Or painkiller,
Yeah. Okay.
as well. So
So the liquor of choice.
liquor of
very,
choice is
very
yours.
aggressive names there. Bushwhacker, painkiller.
They don't play, man.
It sounds like the Jamaican stores, except they always have those kind of names for the male products. Agony, Iron Fist.
Gotcha. Oh man. So Ivo, now, with your background in terms of going to school and everything, was it always marketing promotion or what?
Well, interestingly, growing up in St. John and in the Virgin Islands, what I saw my entire life was hospitality, right? So literally, I went off to college, got a degree in hotel restaurant management from a business
What?
perspective.
I never knew that. Okay.
So it's interesting because I was not in a culinary program. I was in a management program. So when in a business admin program, you learn how to market products. What I learned to market was service, right? And I did a background in accounting as well. So my goal was to be, if back then, Leonard Helmsley had all these hotels. Well, I was going to have hotels named after Ivo. And again, I knew the accounting side of it, so nobody can take my money. And then I decided to, I got exposed to helping people. And that's where my passion lies in terms of helping young people to move forward. And then sort of the other side for my consulting business, the customer engagement, operational strategy are just things that I also love to do. So it's kind of doing all of the things that you like to do.
Helping children, so no doubt. Jackie Robinson Foundation.
Jackie Robinson
How did they
Foundation.
find you?
Well, interestingly, probably now about almost 15 years ago, I had a staff person who worked for me for about 8 years, and she left me and went to work for the foundation. And then she asked me to come in and be a facilitator at their annual conference. So I did that for about 10 years.
Wow.
Every year I'd go in and I'd do a professional communication workshop for the freshman class. They all had to go through my session. And then one day the opportunity came about, and there was interest, and I got a call. They called me. I called them, and it made sense. And again, it's about helping young people who are going to college, people that look like you and me, and helping them to become successful.
What's your title at the foundation now?
Vice President, External Relations and Special Projects.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you deal with all the intergovernmental type stuff and other foundations.
Well, I try to make sure people know what we do, who we are. And part of that is also helping to raise dollars. So it's, again, connecting people who can work with our development team as it relates to funding a lot of what we do. And one of the exciting things that I do now for the foundation, did it last year, doing it again this year, is taking our freshman class, once they get through their freshman year, to Tanzania for 10 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice.
Now, how old is the foundation now?
We started in 1973. So it's, 46 years?
Wow.
Gotcha. Now, Night Watchman and I remember back in the day, we used to always travel up to Connecticut
To the Jazz Festival.
to a great
course,
jazz
yes.
festival
Yes.
that you guys put on. Any thought to bringing that back? So right there, I from that look, Night Watchman, you know what I'm hearing, right? A drain on resources, manpower, and dollars.
I didn't have to say it. Thank you very much.
Okay, got it. Night Watchman.
They were fun. I can say that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, ironically, before I started volunteering at at the foundation for the last 10 years, I worked for another organization, and part of what all of our students had to do was community service. So every year for about 10 years before that, I'd provide about 30 to 50 students to volunteer at the Jazz Festival.
Oh,
so my
wow.
lineage, my connection to the
Wow.
foundation is long.
That's long.
Yeah.
That's very, and I don't even know. I should even know this. Miss Rachel Robinson, how's she doing?
Mrs. Robinson is doing very well. Of course, she is up there in age. She is now 96 years young.
Oh,
Wow.
That is
Still
great.
active, still engaged.
Shout out to Miss Robinson
Wow.
for sure.
Shout out.
Great,
Yep.
great,
Very, very
great,
nice.
great.
And so now, Ivo, you made Harlem your home, but I think more than that, you've done a lot of stuff in Harlem.
Absolutely.
Tell me some of the things that you've done in Harlem to make it so.
Well, I believe in, for all of us who are engaged in the community, we need to be a part of the community. So the first thing I try to do is support all of our businesses, all of our black-owned businesses. So people are always telling me, you're out a lot, you're going to a lot of things, you're always at events, but I think it's important to show up and be present. Right? So the people in our community know that they are supported and that they have our backing. That's the first thing. Certainly, I've volunteered for a number of things. So I am the chairperson of the Harlem Eat Up Foundation, which
Oh.
is the foundation arm of Harlem Eat Up. So it's separate entities.
Gotcha.
But I'm the president of the foundation. I'm also the vice chair of the Counsel Him Foundation, which is a young foundation that we started a couple of years ago with my friend Billy Counsel and Sharon Lopez. And there we're working on mentoring young men. So we know that a lot of our young men in these schools, they want to be rappers or athletes, right? And what we're trying to do is really help them to be exposed, that there are many more careers beyond being a rapper or being on stage and being on the court, right? You can still be in sports, you can still be in all those things, but there's so many other careers. You can be the attorney, you can be the medical doctor, you can be so many things. So we're trying to really expose students to that. We've done some work at an alternative to prison home. We're doing our second bout with them this year, starting next week. We're also doing some work with the Boys and Girls Club of Harlem.
Okay.
So we're really trying to make a difference in the community.
Very nice.
And if you want to add to that, I also do, for the fun part of my life, Caribbean Thursdays at Cove Lounge. Shout out to Cove Lounge. Every Thursday, 6 to 11.
Aaliyah, pop, pop. Yep.
Every Thursday, 6 to 11, we have Caribbean Thursdays at Cove Lounge.
Now, Caribbean Thursdays, for those who don't know what that is, do you know what that is, a Night Watchman?
It's a Caribbean night at. No, I'm not sure what the mystery is.
What
They play Caribbean music. Yes.
what types of sounds am I going to hear, man?
You're gonna hear Caribbean music.
No, that's too easy.
That's too easy.
Soca.
Yes.
You're gonna hear
Okay,
soca.
There we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
All right.
Gotcha.
So no dance hall at all.
Pure soca.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's a specific part of the Caribbean.
Yeah. Speaking of which, so in St. John, usually soca is the beat that you're going to hear, or do you have some dancehall?
Calypso soca. I mean,
Calypso,
but
yeah.
again, all the Caribbean islands, we play everything. But our main music is calypso in the Virgin Islands.
Gotcha, yeah. And my mom's her folks from St. Kitts.
Okay.
And really, I grew up with all soca, Calypso Rose. You name
You
it.
go way
Sparrow.
back.
Sparrow. You gotta have
Calypso
some Sparrow.
Rose. You went way back.
Oh, way back.
Okay.
I remember just growing up, and that's what I would be hearing. And then so this thing of reggae, ska, we did not hear that much at all. What about you?
Well, yeah, my people were from Antigua and Barbados, so calypso. When my first trip to Antigua, Bang Bang Lulu was the big hit. And
He said, "Bang Bang Lulu."
Well, so that was interesting. I was 10 at the time, so that's the song, and they're playing it, and I know my parents felt a little uncomfortable about the lyrics, but what could they say?
It was what it was.
Exactly. So, what I was gonna say is that
Of course, now lyrically speaking, things have gone so far
oh
beyond.
yeah, exactly.
Bang Bang Lulu.
That's very mild
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
very mild. So I also understand, Ivo, that you're going to be honored and recognized by a nonprofit in the community as well.
Yes, I am. May 7th, May 7th, 3.5 Acres Yoga, the Thayer organization, and they provide yoga and meditation services to inner city kids and youth, and they work with the police department to help them in terms of how they interact with the young folks. And I am blessed to be honored by that organization, and I'm being honored alongside a Harlem legend. So when they ask me, I'm like,
Back up. Who's that Harlem legend?
that would be the one and only Vi Higginson.
Oh,
Wow.
that's a legend.
Mama Foundation in the house.
So
Okay.
I'm like, you can't honor me next to Vi. Come on now.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Vi is a legend in the Harlem community.
Yes.
So
Also,
I am just
prior
honored.
guest here on Soul Lounge Primetime.
Yep. So I'm honored.
Very, very nice, man. So, Night Watchman, I was just wondering about you and your stuff, man. What's going on with you?
You mean in life in general? I'm having a.
So,
I'm
Ivo, just
having
so you know,
an ex.
these are sometimes the interactions that we have. 'Cause, you know, he'll give me this expression.
I'm having an existentialist crisis.
I'm
man.
gonna go with the flow.
What is the meaning of life? Why is there air? Okay, it passed.
Life is meant to be lived.
I try to cycle through them quickly. It's cheaper than Prozac and Xanax.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, Night, Ivo, you said that some folks knew that you were going to be on the show, and they understood that you were also. They thought that you were going to be speaking about cannabis. Now, you don't know anything about that space, or do you?
I know nothing about that space.
Okay.
Absolutely nothing about that space.
Why would you ask him that?
Plausible deniability. That's
Seems
all.
like an interrogation there. So, what do you know about the dope? What do you know, Ivo? You're from the Caribbean. What do you know
It's funny,
about
I get
it?
that. It's like, what do you mean? You're from the islands. I'm like, really?
He's like,
not everyone in
he's
the
like,
islands.
I was like, no, that's Jamaica. It's not St. John's.
Well,
I swear.
Oh my God.
Well, we're gonna have to check your bag, sir.
So if anybody out there listening to the show, please, you can give us a call here at 212-650-6903. And you can speak to Ivo live if you'd like.
Wow.
You know? Yeah, exactly. Now, Watchman, you have anything queued?
Yeah, I do.
You do have a little something?
And
else?
then when we come back, maybe we'll talk a little bit about legal cannabis, the legislation that is brewing to make it legal. What are the implications for our community?
Sounds like a plan, Night
right.
Watchman.
All right.
You
So-
can take it away if you'd like.
All that I want. In every way, sure love is possible. Erasing the doubts I had in my mind. Gave me a reason to wanna try it again. There's not much you have to prove. You impress me. All those drink you being you is good enough. You got what it takes that makes you just so special. And everything that you do is enlightening. So don't ever change just who you are. Just who you are. Don't change for me. Don't change for me. Not anyone. Don't ever change just who you are. Who you are. Don't change for me. Not anyone. Your imperfections, I love it all. I accept every part of you, even your flaws. You can talk to me without using clever words. 'Cause I already know what you mean before you say it. How good it is to know I can depend on. 'Cause you gon' do what it takes to make it alright. Even through good days, in between days, our love remains. I believe in you and
See, I wasn't going to blast you out, with the sure enough, sure enough. That, of course, is Never by Ralph Gums. What were you throwing down there, Night
That was
Watchman?
Kanye Doss, Don't Ever Change.
Well, I never do. That's part of your frustration. I never do, man.
I like the consistency myself.
Thank you,
Yes,
thank you.
yes.
So Ivo,
Yes, sir.
I mean, I had the absolute pleasure last week to attend a meeting of a delegation from the Bahamas that you put together. Tell me about that. All these beautiful and talented and smart women. And normally, just having my wife and my mother, I'm usually intimidated. But these women, I was more so. So tell me about
And what
that.
is the Harlem Bahamas Collaboration?
Yes.
We're going to tell you about that right now.
All
I want
right.
to hear about that.
So
right now.
I've had the pleasure of working with some amazing women from the Bahamas as part of the National Women's Advisory Council of the Bahamas. And they work with the government around women's issues and women entrepreneurship and so forth. And I've engaged with them for about a year and a half, 2 years now. Dinner is here. My friend is a part of the organization. And they kept talking about some of the challenges they had in the islands about exposing women and the kinds of things that they want to do. And certainly given what I do and my consulting business and so forth, throughout the time frame, I had the pleasure of going down to the Bahamas in November and keynoting a conference for them. And as they were here this week for the UN Initiative on Women.
And this is all part of the Year of the Woman or Month of the Woman, Women's Month.
Women's
Yes,
Month,
sir.
right? So
Okay.
every year the UN has this big, gathering of all of the countries to talk about what they're doing for women. And we talked about, I've shared with them all of the great things that many of the organizations in Harlem that they do for our community. So I organized an opportunity for these women to come and hear and learn about the great work of organizations like Harlem Park to Park, Experience Harlem, the Harlem Commonwealth Council, and then certainly we know that when it comes to economic development and women entrepreneurship, we know the artist is often left out of that equation. So my dear friend Diana Smith was a part of the conversation.
Great
to really
Harlem
talk
icon,
about, how art is such an instrumental component of helping to build community. And then we had my guy, Joe Cruz.
Oh, Joe.
Yave Tequila.
Are you familiar with them, Night Watchman?
Yeah, I'm familiar with them, yes.
Okay, great. But his story is one that, from the streets, I mean, he grew up in East Harlem and, dreamt of doing this, and now he's a successful brand.
Yeah.
And then certainly we had yours truly, a friend of mine named Curtis Archer from the
He
Harlem.
actually showed up?
He showed up
Wow,
from the
okay.
HCDC, Harlem Community Development Corporation, to really talk about how that government entity supports all of these initiatives to ensure that there are opportunities for individuals. So the women of the National Women's Advisory Council, I know the chairperson is actually listening from the Bahamas, Coralie Adderley.
Hey, Coralie, how you
Hello,
doing?
how are you?
So they're doing some amazing things to try to really. So from that meeting of 30 Bahamian women who came to this collaboration dialogue was born the Harlem Bahamas Collaboration.
So this is not a one-off.
It's not a one-off. It is a continuous. How do we continue to share, collaborate? My goal and wish is to have a delegation from Harlem to go down to the Bahamas to do some work to help with teaching and so forth, exchange of ideas. As you know, the GirlCon, which is one of the organizations, was heavily represented, and they presented a nice painting to the Boys and Girls Club.
I did see that. Beautiful, yes.
So
Very nice.
again, I do these wild wish things. I'm hoping that we can get an exchange of students
So
from the Boys
what
and
is,
Girls Club.
tell us a little bit more about the Bahamas and what are some of the economic opportunities of exchange between Harlem and the Bahamas.
Well, we're sort of building this. This was the first kind of gathering of this. And based on the excitement of the information that was shared, we're going to now be working on what do we do to continue this, right? So we know that there are lots of women in the Bahamas, and especially some of the outer areas, who have arts and crafts and so forth. But how do they market that, right? So when you think of Gina Ramcharan at the Lillian Project, an HBA Alliance individual who was also one of our speakers, and Gina does the boot camp, if you will, from inception to product, right? And then how they go from Gina to Harlem Park to Park to really work on procurement. How do they get into the Whole Foods of the world? And then they go, once they're a little more mature, they go to Angie at Harlem Commonwealth, and they work with Experience Harlem, to really kind of mature their business, right? So how do you really take that model?
So a real ecosystem.
Real ecosystem. And how do you take that and create that in the Bahamas so the communities have an opportunity to also engage, right? So, and for me, it's interesting because I'm still on the high from this. I really go back to this famous saying that it says, you educate a man, you educate a person. You educate a woman, you educate a nation. Right?
Yes,
So it's how do we
yes.
really support women businesses and help them to grow and develop so that we can have a very viable economic structure.
Well said.
It was really, really incredible Night Watchman. You had to really, be, as they say, be in the room, to see this. A lot of energy, but also the women, all of them were accomplished women.
Absolutely.
Come out. I mean, the key thing when Ivo was talking about this exchange, I'm seeing how WHCR Soul Lounge Primetime can be out and broadcast from the Bahamas.
Oh, that'll be great.
Hey.
Okay.
So, Board of Tourism, if you're listening, we welcome that.
Coralie, you listening? I also should say we had the First Lady of the Bahamas as part of
Yes,
Wow,
that's
that's
right.
great.
and
In
the
the
Senate
room.
President. So
In the room.
Mrs. Patricia Minnis and Kay Smith, the Senate President, was also there.
Exactly. And we also did from a black-owned business women-owned business.
Yes.
In the community. A shout-out to Ruby Vintage.
Ruby's Vintage. Thank you to Brian and Nakoa for hosting our event. I mean, they opened up early. They provided refreshments so we can have this great meeting. So, again, what our Bahamian guests saw was a community coming together and making this work.
For this guy named Ivo, I heard.
Yeah,
That's it.
that guy.
If somebody else had called, I'm not sure if there would have been that type of immediate response. So just so you know.
I am privileged, honored, thankful that all of the folks who were a part of this dialogue really just kind of like, we want to do this. We will be there for you. And when I explained to them what we were doing, I mean, it was a no-brainer. Take Joe, for example. Literally, I gave Joe 2 days' notice.
Really?
Saw him and said, "Oh, man, your story, I need you." And he showed up. Diane,
That is too
we were
funny.
talking, and Diane was like, "This is great, but one thing is missing is the artist." And I was like, "Well, guess what? You're now the artist." I mean, but Harlem shows up for Harlem.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is very, very true.
Very true.
And Night Watchman, you were about to say something. I can tell.
Well, it's just that it's interesting that his what he's talking about follows on from our show last week and the update I was going to make, because when we started talking about, we did a show last week on cannabis, but it was from the angle of women in the cannabis industry,
in that space,
because women entrepreneurs and women activists are leading the charge for legalization.
But also, but with the legalization, equity.
Right, and we have social equity. Well, social equity is one of the biggest things that's on the table. So since then, I was able to attend an event last week called the Canna East Compliance Conference.
Explain that.
Well, it was a conference of all the regulators from various states, New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Ontario, Canada, along with operators and just everybody involved with helping to not only talk about the legal issues that are now being sorted out to bring about legalization, but also about creating an industry that's sustainable and puts out safe product.
Wow.
So it was not just legislators. There were people there talking about testing and extraction and making sure that the product that comes out under a legal system, has no heavy metals or impurities in it, that sort of thing. But again, right in the middle of this fight is our women entrepreneurs. And so I was privileged to be able to meet a number of black women entrepreneurs at this conference. One of them who also is the founder of an organization called Women Grow. And so women are definitely taking a very active position in the new industry that is developing.
Okay, so I'm going to throw something out there. So I was just reading in the New York Times, like my old alma mater, Stuyvesant, right? Actually, this particular entering class has 7 African-American students out of 895.
Wow.
And that's actually an uptick, right?
No, it actually went down because I think
went
last
down?
year was 10.
Oh,
So,
gosh.
so tell me, in terms of you being in the room at Cannabis, what did it look like in terms of diversity?
There was diversity. It wasn't half and half or anything like that. But we weren't missing by any means, and we certainly weren't missing on the panels, which is important because the people on the panels are the people who are already in the industry doing things. So there were a number of leading doctors involved in this. So in particular, one of the doctors who runs a dispensary in D.C. She's also the founder of Women Grow. She was on the panel with a Nigerian doctor who is also running a business in Pennsylvania. Now, what's interesting about these two, and this forwards to our conversation last week, one of the things we recognized was the impediment in our own communities was the stance that many in the faith-based community take about this.
Right.
So they let me know that they had put on an event in Brooklyn at Emmanuel Baptist Church where they brought the doctors out and they brought the, leading company operators out to talk to people and dispel some of the myths. So
okay.
I'm actually trying to work with them to see if we could create a meeting like that in Harlem.
So putting down reefer madness.
Well, yeah, just dispelling some of the myths and talking about why is this thing really happening and what's really pushing it. What are the benefits for our community from a health standpoint, from an economic standpoint, from a business standpoint.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, the thing that I want to report is that the most important thing that we've all talked about is the social equity, that our communities have been the ones that have taken the greatest pain from the hypercriminalization of marijuana. And basically our legislators have drawn a line in the sand and saying we're not going to have this type of legislation without some sort of social equity. And that is definitely on the table. It's coming from every corner. It's coming from the governor's representative, the mayor's representative saying the same thing. But also it's happening in the surrounding states. So one of the things that was announced at the conference is that New Jersey is scheduled their vote for legalization, and that's going to happen on March 25th.
So next Monday is a week from today.
Yeah, so a week from today, they're going to have a vote, and it's likely to pass, I would say. So New Jersey is going to, have the first dibs, and there's always the rivalry between New York and New Jersey. And New Jersey will be able to say that they passed it before we did.
Now, will they also, as we say, have the social equity
Their
component?
social equity piece is very strong, and they talked extensively about it at the meeting. And so this is also good for us because there is a standard that's being created around our neighboring states. So Massachusetts has a very strong social equity component, and New Jersey has a very strong equity component. So New York can't.
You say can't half step.
We're New York.
Yeah.
We have to appeal to our New York ego. We're supposed to be the leaders. We're not supposed to be the followers. So, so we have to look closely at those states and some of the fine points, such as expungement of records, creating an on-ramp for people who have been criminalized to now get into this as an industry. But the other thing that we have to do as individuals and as a community is that we have to now look and now create the opportunities, because the legislation can create the road, but we have to get in our own vehicles and drive in it. And to that, I also should announce that our guest from last week, Regina Smith, Harlem Business Alliance, they are having another Green Revolution event on Thursday. That's March the 21st. So you can go to their website, hbany.org, and get more information.
So this week, huh?
This
Yeah.
week, yes, the 21st.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
So we just want to support them. They've been doing obviously a great
Yeah.
job on this, and Regina has been in the forefront. And so, as a community, we need to look at it and understand the breadth of this industry. And so, we're not just talking about, again, it's not the reefer madness. It's not the issue of the image of ganja. All that is about to change because, number one, the products are going to change. They're going to be food and edibles, for food and beverage infused. And that now a lot of it is about beauty and skincare products. And so CBD infused products that have low THC, meaning that there's no psychoactive or high component to it, but it has a lot of health benefits. And so the thing that is driving this as a new industry is that it's actually healthy for you. And so within that, there's a lot of areas to look at in terms of the science, extraction, food, hospitality is going to be big. And so this is incumbent on people to look for the opportunities and get involved and get more information.
Thank you, Night Watchman. Ivo, you have something to say on this matter?
Well, I think I'm one of those people. I don't do weed, right? So, but for me, as this revolution is occurring, I think we have to be open to learning about whether or not we do it or not.
Right.
Is when we think of how many people of color were criminalized in this process for various things as it relates to that, and now we're creating an industry where to make money off of it. I think those people need to get first dibs, right, on making some money off of it. So I think those of us who don't, but those of us who are supportive of businesses and people of color, really from an economic development perspective, need to sit back and say, how do we understand this, right? So I still don't understand the difference between the THC and CBD. I'm not that interested, but it's how do we try to understand so we can be supportive? Okay.
Got you. Well, you know what, Ivo, we're going to take a little music interlude here, but when I come back, I want to find something, because I've heard something about a Jackie Robinson memorial or museum. Okay, so yeah, you're gonna tell me more when we get back here, all right?
Sure.
Thanks.
So much talent and so much talent in the young folks.
That's right. Got to believe in them.
True. Absolutely. Exactly. What is the thing that you most like to convey when you work with young people?
Believe in yourselves. I think many of our young people they see all of the stuff that we deal with every day, and especially a student of color, right? You see all this stuff going on. I tell people all the time, I'm a professional, and I am bothered when we have all of these things happening in our world. So imagine a college kid having to deal with that and deal with the stuff on their campuses and whatnot. So I think we need to believe in yourself, know that you have support, and persevere.
Did you go to college in the Caribbean or
No, in Connecticut,
we were in Connecticut?
University of New Haven, Connecticut.
Wow.
okay.
My first year was in New Hampshire, and I quickly ran from New Hampshire.
Oh, okay. Too cold?
No, I had people ask me stuff like, "You're from the islands. Y'all wear grass skirts? Live in a hut?
No,
Swing from tree to tree?"
no.
I swear to you,
Wow.
Oh my
So-
God.
We're in New Hampshire.
Manchester.
Oh, yeah, Manchester.
You know Manchester.
I can't say I've spent any significant time, but I kind of get the feeling that Manchester is
It's one of those places.
kind of
Yeah.
like the.
And I'm hoping it's changed, right? This was back in the 80s,
yeah.
back in the early to mid 80s, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm hoping it's changed. But those are real life experiences I had.
Right.
And when we talk to our students today, they have similar types of experiences, not about, swinging from tree to tree, but they have similar types of experiences on their campuses. So they need to know
Well,
that people are
I went
supporting
to
them.
school in New Hampshire. I was in Hanover, and I never had any problems with the townspeople or anything like that. But we graduated a few idiots who have gone on to become national embarrassments. Dinesh D'Souza among one of them, and Laura Ingraham was a little bit after my time. But
another
yeah.
embarrassment.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
Wow.
So your school is known for embarrassments. Okay, I'm just putting it out there.
No, everybody's got a couple. I mean, it's like everybody's family got one person who they'd rather not call on their family. So I think we could. I think we can go with Chandra Rhimes too. We put her out there, so it kind of balances
You're not
out.
going to talk about Shonda while I'm sitting here.
No,
I'm not. No, I'm saying she's one of the good ones. We put
okay, I'm
on
about to
there.
say, I'm
So
sorry.
you tried to throw like all my people were embarrassing.
I'm sorry. I
I'm
thought
like,
you were putting. Okay,
yeah. So no,
definitely, yeah.
No, I'm trying to rep for my people.
No. As a matter of fact, yeah, the school definitely does produce some good ones for sure. But those first two, oh no.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
yeah.
So now, what is this in terms of this museum regarding Jackie Robinson?
Absolutely.
But hold it, it's not going to be in Brooklyn.
No, it's going to be in Manhattan,
Wow, do tell.
on the corner of Canal and Varick
Okay.
in Soho.
Okay.
Now, why is that? Is that significant for him or the Dodgers or something? Tell me.
No, that's where our offices are. And again, I wasn't a part of it when they did all the feasibility stuff. But I
Gotcha.
think I can only imagine that when you're doing a museum of this type, you got to think about foot traffic and accessibility,
Right.
and all of those things, right? And certainly Soho is hot. Disney is moving in. Some other big.
Hey, if juniors can come to Manhattan, Jackie Robinson Museum could be in Manhattan.
But that's where our offices are as well. So it's right on the corner at 75 Varick, and we are.
I know 75 Barrack. Yeah. Okay.
We are opening the Jackie Robinson Museum in December. So this year, as a matter of fact, is Jackie's centennial. Right, so he would have been 100 on January 31st.
Nice.
So our schedule is to open the museum in December as a culmination of his centennial event. So we are currently under construction in the offices.
Excellent.
Beautiful.
Okay. Tell me, in terms of how large will it be?
18,000 square feet.
Okay,
Wow,
that's
that's-
nice size. That's
Yes,
nice
it's pretty
size.
size.
Enough
Sure.
to fit a batting cage in there.
It is going to be such a incredible space because we really want to make sure it's a space where people come in and have dialogue about social justice issues, right? And really, while we will honor the legacy of Jackie Robinson, and it's going to be interwoven throughout the entire thing, we're also paying homage to Rachel Robinson, because she is the
okay.
woman next to Jackie,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Who's done
indeed.
so much, and she started the foundation
Oh, yeah.
upon his death and so forth. So her legacy as well will be told in the museum, but it's really going to be a space to encourage dialogue, encourage conversation around these issues that we deal with today, which Jackie dealt with back in his time.
Yeah.
And he was an example for, being tough and getting through, and his values were so incredible.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And the museum is going to really encompass all of that. And we really want to make sure young people come through the museum and learn about his values and so forth.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the things. So, a large percentage of Black folk especially those who came from the South, when they came, were all Republicans.
As was Jackie. Yes.
As was Jackie.
Well, I'm not sure Jackie actually declared any particular party. I think if you look at Jackie's, I'm
Well,
not
I was
sure.
basically going to say that I'm wondering what he would be doing in this day and age, in the current state of affairs, and how that party has, I guess, failed to stand for any real moral values.
I think if you look at Jackie's story, he kind of stood with the person that really, when you look at the issues that they dealt with, right?
Yeah.
And he engaged with everyone.
Yeah.
For him, it was about the betterment of people.
Very true, very true. Because, like I said, with the current state of politics, and especially we've become so partisan and stuff, it's like I said, it's unconscionable, some of the stuff. Night Watchman.
And well, just also the willingness to just ignore the white nationalist threat, the white terrorist, the violence. I mean, it's gone beyond party politics. I feel like that part of it is just a show, because it really comes to an integrity issue. You can have disagreements on policy, but you can't have disagreements on basic human integrity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one thing you definitely have to give major props to Jackie, because for the stuff that he endured, to be able to concentrate also on his job, which was playing baseball. With the indignities that he was subjected
Absolutely.
to. But I think there was also, I'm going to give some props to Branch Rickey for also seeing that Jackie was the man.
Absolutely.
He was the one that could do it.
Yeah.
I can't put Satchel Paige in there. I can't put Josh Gibson in there. I got to put Jackie in there, because I know that he had the temperament to get through it all.
Absolutely. He was very instrumental in the Jackie Robinson story.
So I'm thinking that but it also, like you said, Ivo, taking also a strong woman in Rachel to really be that support, that anchor to get him through.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, after what he had to go through in the day, coming home at night is probably what balanced it all out, so he could get up and do it again the next day.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
She was she is amazing. Yeah.
Got you. Now, and help me if I'm correct. Is one of his children in Africa as a coffee grower?
Yeah, David Robinson, his youngest child, actually lives in Tanzania, and owns a coffee cooperative.
Oh, that's great.
Right. Does he export some of the stuff right here?
Absolutely.
If you're listening, send some right here. Soul Lounge Primetime. I'm a coffee
I have a pack
drinker.
in my office. I'll give it to you.
There you go. You didn't tell him to bring gifts when he came?
This is our friendly chatter. Yes,
After the show, I'm sure I'll have it.
Okay, yes.
So Night Watchman, I understand that we might be getting ready for a Harlem dance party. You heard something about that?
I should hope so. It's as the show go. All right, DJ Soul of Atten is in the building.
Well, I want to know with Ivo, the Jackie Robinson Foundation provides scholarships to young people. Tell me about the scholarship.
Yes, so we have about 200 plus, about 240, 250 current scholars, freshmen through seniors in college.
So you see them through if they
All 4
award
years.
it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the students apply as high school seniors, and if they are successful in getting the scholarship, we fund them for 4 years.
Gotcha.
The students get up to $7,500 per year, each year for 4 years. In addition to that, we support them mentorship and coaching and so forth throughout the year. We bring them to New York every year while they're a scholar for 5 days for our mentoring and leadership conference. We just had it 2 weeks ago, where they go through a series of seminars and experiential opportunities and cultural and arts opportunities, engaging. We have a family session where they talk about what's going on in their lives out on campus. So we really try to make sure they understand the support that they have. Add to that, as a freshman, if selected, they come to our orientation, a college orientation, as to acclimating them to the college life. And then after their first year, we take them to Africa for 10 days. So
Wow.
they get a lot of support from us.
So it must be high school seniors.
Apply as high school seniors, and if you get the scholarship, you get it the summer before your freshman year.
Gotcha. No college freshmen, right?
Unfortunately,
Just checking.
no.
Gotcha. Hey,
No, you're going to have to buy your way in just like all the other felons.
Oh, that was good.
That was a good one.
Night Watchman. I don't know who's writing your stuff, but it's pretty good. Pretty good. So Ivo, if one wants to get in touch with the foundation, how can they reach out?
They can go right to our website,
Okay.
JackieRobinson.org. So JackieRobinson.org, and they can get everything on there, and certainly send us an email. They can call the office. So JackieRobinson.org.
Beautiful. Well, Night Watchman, it's been a good show, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Mr. Ivo Philbert,
Yes, sir.
we really want to thank you for being on Soul Lounge Primetime, man.
No, I want to thank you guys for having me on for this platform. I think what you guys are doing for the Harlem community and the community at large is so important. So thank you very much.
Shout out to our new listeners in the Bahamas. Come back next
Yes.
Monday at 7 o'clock.
Formerly Denise Lewis Johnson
We'll
from
be
the Bahamas.
here.
Yeah. Shout out to my mom, and I saw my
Ma-
aunt Julia from Canada is on as well.
They're
Shout
all
out to
listening?
Mom.
Yeah,
Shout
she's
out to
on
Aunt
Facebook Live.
Julia.
Philbert's in the house,
Right.
all listening. Yo,
That's
major
right.
shout
It's
out.
a global experience.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, you got it. Night Watchman, you got anything cute? Or
I
you
do.
good?
I do.
Okay, you tell
Check
me
it out.
when you are ready.
Ready it up.
Okay. All right, y'all. We are out.
I move like the silent G in designer, real talk, something to say. My groove right, I might snatch up your wife, smoke like it's nothing to me. Get out my way, talk if you wanna me, I'm gonna push. I'm a hard act to follow, keep up your heart and move your feet, enjoy my sweet suave. Look at me, I'm so suave. Dancing like your name, Shawty. Hey, why you so worried about me? No, sir, not today.
I just came to dance on the move. I can't with you, saying la-di-da, la-di-da. Said I'm trying to dance, but not with you, la-di-da, la-di-da.
I'm draped in designer, waves with the line. Face it, I'm out of your league. No, I'm right beside you. Talk, I ain't trying to get back. I'm rolling away. All in my face, chat with you later. Go find your posse, please. I'm a smooth operator. No, I'm your favorite, but let me enjoy my sweet soiree. Sorry that I'm so blasé. Why are you dancing like your name, Shawty? Hey, why you so worried about me? I said no, sir, not today.
I just came to dance on the move. I can't with you, saying la-di-da, la-di-da. Said I'm trying to dance, catch a groove, but not with you, la-di-da, la-di-da. I just came to dance on the move. I can't with you, saying la-di-da, la-di-da. Said I'm trying to dance, catch a groove, but not with you, you're la-di-da, la-di-da.
Ladies, please, it's enough for me to go around. I don't bite. Oh, me? You already know it is. And to be honest, all I really want to do is take you to the
Bridge.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.